Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our global TV deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
Oh, thy peace, God of my salvation, because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come with I. Rastaman throw one stone, and it break a bad feeling to all wicked men. That's a people there. Make a man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear now hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside and rob and cheat, and not first and four. Make up what I seen to make him a throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a plan! Make him a throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. So, my favorite man, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the day them can sell out Rasta and sell it out. I sell out Babylon. They give man show and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. They give man show and stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the dead that can sell out Rasta and sell out. I sell out Babylon. Just stop on the Friday. You might show us stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black thing, man, throw and stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. You have eyes to see, let them see. You have ears to hear, let them hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one. Big him and show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what's a black big him and show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rasta man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men.
We have come for the thieves this evening. And we don't want Dr. Tufton to think we're going to discuss any of his fresh drivel that he plasters the media with in a bid to avoid the conversation on the 80 million Jamaican dollars. That though, if you are following the injustice, the theater of injustice in Rural Reed's case, Chris Tufton might just have his money slashed down to $40 million. As we can see now, Rural Reed fraud case has been slashed down from 50 million to 25 million. I mean, the people with the DR title in our society, why, you might ask yourself, where is Jamaica going? Or we just go follow them, go on where them go. To my community of party and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, viewers, subscribers, commenters, and trolls, good evening and welcome. TikTok, good evening. YouTube, good evening. A hearty one, big holy good evening from me, everybody. We're not going to do roll call this evening because we have a lot of information. We're going to deal with the Tufton issue. We're going to hold Dennis Brooks and we're going to tie a rope to him. And we're going to draw Dennis Brooks right round and round the garden. We're also going to go back to the Jamal Ferguson issue. But I know some of you have a way of shooting the messenger rather than listen to the message. Some of the information coming to you tonight will come from 119. Now, I know a lot of you probably don't like to look up in his mouth or look up in his nose or hear his voice at all. What I would encourage you to do tonight, though, is not to shoot the messenger, because some of the information we will be looking at tonight will be coming from 119. We will also look at Dan Jackson Miller on YouTube take on the Chris Tufton issue, because Chris Tufton wants all of us to walk away and think, oops, it's all over. There's nothing to see here. Come off it, said the doctor. Dr. Dawes really handled himself well in Parliament this evening. That we will also bring to you. Shower labor rights. We are going to look into the Prime Minister's constituency as well. The hickle to pickle we're going in there. So let's get on the way and start with the dear Prime Minister's constituency and his debacle. And if the Prime Minister, as head of the National Works Agency, could look into his constituency, because to say, Prime Minister, your constituency need the help. Good evening, everybody. Like and share the live, please. Top up the screen, please. TikTok. Let's see what's going on with roads in the Prime Minister's quarters.
Are we the forgotten community? A question being asked by residents of Seavert Gardens in St. Andrew, as the frequently used Simon Taylor roadway has been impassable for almost a week, Commander Lyons explains.
A section of Simon Taylor Road in Seavert Gardens, St. Andrew. And it's not just a section-by-section problem. The entire roadway spells trouble. An example here with this child. This resident is particularly upset as the community is within St. Andrew West Central, the Prime Minister's constituency.
In 100 years, I feel so I'm supposed to send man come look at good way my Prime Minister. You can't walk and you broke with you. You answer fire siege over here. You have to go and walk on the side there. And that means you can walk and you pack them with you in the road. By it sink.
Yes, the video is generally low. You turn it right up.
Literally. This was the first section of the road that sank while he was driving.
This basically like an earthquake. Jamaica Simon Taylor roads. The whole line mash up. And 7.7 earthquake with the road. Look at the road mash up.
This tape was used to mark the extent of the issue and as a signal to incoming motorists. But on Saturday, the damage stretched farther.
But they said it stays so still now, but it never like this. Like, no.
Many are left asking, what happens in an emergency?
There's a vehicle in the yard right now. It has to be covered because it cannot come out based on the condition of the road. If there's an emergency, you can't move.
This blind resident says an urgent fix is needed.
I'm ever walking in my corner and use my discretion and know the danger over that side. You understand me? And I feel one feeling. Do you understand? Yeah. I mean, really.
Ingrid, how are you?
So I have to walk all in the corner like all me get to understand. So, you know?
Even relationships are in jeopardy.
That my husband can't come out of something because I say I'm going to lift me because no road near for him walk, for him drive. You see, so we want the road for fix. You see it, we need the road for fix. Can't stay so.
But there's a bigger issue, a broken pipe leaking below the road. Because of that,
No, we don't have any water. Through the something burst right there, so we don't have no water.
how long now?
From this burst, we don't have no water.
It's a busy road. Look how the road look. Be a water always. Can't get water for being properly.
And entrepreneurs in the community are also feeling the pinch.
Road bad, condition bad. Really want to fix me, really.
I have a business up there, and because of this right here, we're unable to, there's nobody passing. No. We really need NWA or whatever. Even the vehicle, we can't even drive. This is matching up business a lot for everybody up this side. And most people that live on this road drive. And look at the condition of the road. The road sinking from 2 years last year, them said them finalize it. And this is foolishness right now. We need the road to be fixed ASAP.
Romarda Lyons, TVJ.
Show our labor rights. Distress and poverty loading. Show our labor rights. That is the Prime Minister constituency where the road can't even walk on. That's the Prime Minister's constituency where the road, you can't even walk on the road. Show our labor rights. You get to the third term. What else do you want? You don't want the poverty will come with the third term? Show our labor rights. That's the Prime Minister constituency. A one day for God, a one day for burial, a one day for climate change. Who do the road send your constituency, Prime Minister? Can be sure say, I don't feel lack off with how much air where you're there and make you run down. So after you steal off the road maintenance fund, Prime Minister, show our labor rights. Show our labor rights. Right. Now, as me said, we're going to go into the Jamar Ferguson issue now, and we're going to look at 119 take. As I said to you, do not shoot the messenger. Me know just like me, someone may not like listen, look up in him nose or look up in him mouth. Do not shoot the messenger. It is the message that we are listening to. Because going back to Kevin Blake's article, they might make it look like there's nothing to see or talk about here. It's the same game that Tufton is on about as well. And we're also going to look at 119 take on the whole Christopher Tufton issue as well. Because Dr. Tufton are going like, it's all over. Get over it. The Integrity Commission said it's done. I have done nothing. Move on. Failing to ignore the breaches, the Integrity Commission flag, the conflict of interest, and the departure from government procurement processes. Fail to acknowledge the whole of them there. Let's go to Jamar and then we'll come back to Dennis Brooks. I must hear what Dennis Brooks said, oh?
The Jamaican police have murdered.
We don't have to hear what Dennis Brooks said. I drop out the magazine, drop out. You know the piece of paper? Yeah, the piece of paper drop out of the police pocket. And the police never knows the piece of paper drop out of pocket. Yes, that's what Dennis Brooks said. Paper drop out of the police pocket. The police never plant magazine in the youth them car. It's just a piece of paper. Anyway.
The Jamaican police have murdered 22-year-old Jamar Farquharson. Murdered a young man in cold blood. And I can say that without fear of contradiction, because I am about to show you the video live and in living color. Say a lie. Lie the police them a tell. There was no shootout. The young man had no firearm on him. It is a lie. It is a lie. And I saw no tell lie upon the youth them all the while. And plant GUN. Have no GUN them. I want to get so much GUN for your plant. It is clear that you brought your own GUN to plant there on the youth. The youth had no gun. Oh no wicked. Oh no heartless. Oh no brutal. A smarty picnic. 10 policemen. 10 policemen murder the little youth. And Jamaicans sit down. The whole Jamaica should have locked down now with people in the streets. Jamaica should be at... Hey, I don't want to say me inside. Nothing, you know. But let me tell you this. Uno worthless. Uno little Jamaican people. Me no rate uno. Me no respect uno. Uno no want nothing good for uno self. Because it was clear as daylight that the Jamaica Constabulary Force murdered a 22-year-old young man in Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon. It is on video. It is on video. And we all sit down, only in family alone. In family alone, go there we do a protest. It's a like pack placard. No. No, Jamaica. No, Jamaicans. Come on, we need to stand together and stand up. Stand up against oppression, Jamaicans. I am begging you all. We cannot live for ourselves alone like this. Because today for me, tomorrow for you. How could I your son? How could I your brother? Oh God, if they come for one, they come for us all. That should be our approach. Like when the policeman murdered George Floyd and stand up in his neck and the video came out. The entire America lockdown. It is the same way that the entire Jamaica should be locked down right now. I am very disappointed in us. Very disappointed. Because if it not affect you, you no care. We no care. If it not affect we no care. Come on, Jamaicans. Come on. We cannot live like this. We cannot live like this. There is no outrage in the society. When the video clearly show you the 10 policemen them going at the youth house. The youth hold up him and them so. Open the door and when they see them with the big gun, the youth goes up. The youth not have on no shirt. And then said the youth had a gun. Where was the gun? Where the gun today? In your ass? In your body? Down in throat? Come on. Come on, Jamaicans. I don't even hear them say them take the policemen off frontline duty. Not even that. What kind of country this we are living in, man? Oh God, man. Oh God. Little young youth when I live no life yet. Is this the way that the Jamaica Constabulary Force has been bringing down crime, to say that we have cut crime. Is this the approach? This is what we have been doing? Going around unaliving young men in cold blood? And you are going to have some idiot now come out and say, yes, yeah man, they're dead. One of them are criminal. Stupid fool. Stupid fool. Your son might not be a criminal, but the police could come for him and he could hold up his hand without shirt, shirtless. And I'm going to show you the video. And I want to congratulate CVM TV. CVM TV, congratulations. We're doing some fabulous job with the news. Me not see the media. Me not see no outrage in the media. I don't even see TVJ show the footage. I see them alone show it. I mean, one little idiot, I see one little fool now on social media. Oh, how they know it's true? The video could be edited. You soon hear them say. You soon hear them say AI. So that means the little youth, it's not the little youth. A dopey, we see. It's a dopey. It's a jumbi. It's a jumbi. Come out. I eat him patty. And hold up him and the youth just come from work. Eating his patty. And then barging with them. Yo. Listen, Jamaicans. Jamaicans. My fellow countrymen. We cannot live like this. We cannot just live for ourselves alone. It's gonna come to your door one day. None of us are safe. None of us. And I am going to show you the excellent reporting from CVM TV right now.
This now viral video shows the now deceased Jamar.
Well, you're all aware of that video by now. Dennis Brooks, Mrs. Batty Hole as we call her, come out. Dennis Brooks came out in relation to the recent viral video of police officers planting a magazine in the car of young up for whatever reason. Dennis Brooks said what we saw wasn't what happened. Dennis Brooks said, furthermore, the video is being edited. Said Dennis Brooks. Dennis Brooks said during the police officer's search, the magazine dropped out. Now, a piece of paper could have fallen out of your pocket and you not realize. But a magazine, a loaded magazine, unloaded or loaded magazine, drop out of the police pocket just so. That's what Dennis Brooks says happened. No. You know, over nationwide, you normally jump on a pole to get your place in the Senate and a place in government. But something we can tell Jamaican men in public life, and everything on a prostitute and a soul over, you know. And everything, you can jump in at the bed with the devil over. Sometime you can accept reality for what it is. Hold the bull by the hand, Miss Patsy, and deal with the issue rather than come out here and tell us, no, that's not actually what you saw. The video is edited to make the police look bad, is what Dennis is, whatever the man name is making us to believe. And then he's saying, and by the way, it wasn't a planted magazine. It just dropped out. It just dropped out, said Dennis. And everything on a prostitute on a soul over. These are the days when we hold the evidence in our hand and in our phone. It's not like when a government and a media friend them around the thing out there. You know, see Cliff Hughes are trying to play catch up, Dennis. Dennis Brooks. You know, see Cliff Hughes are trying to play catch up. These whitewashing, it on to realize now that those days of these whitewash conversation or these whitewash explanation really don't work anymore. We saw what happened. We know what happened. It's normal for the Jamaica Constabulary Force to set up. TikTok want to report me for. It's normal for the Jamaica Constabulary Force to set up people with weapon and drugs. Yes, it's normal of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. This is how they go around the country, killing young men and telling us that they're criminals. He called them hoodlum. Even the one them with Kevin Blake, a walk on a plant. Walking on a plant, weapon span. Kevin Blake said they are hoodlums. He really said this. What your name? Andrew. You can't deny this report because you just got to look at the amount of missing children. Here's the Andrew Holness. 80% of the Jamaica human trafficking victims are children. Is it a wonder Andrew Holness with children them just always are going missing so? And Andrew Holness a fight gang, but now fight human trafficking when America said the JCF involved in even Marco Rubio, even though when you walk on the international stage and not go on like somebody, Marco Rubio tell us if you go sort out the human trafficking. Now sell organ as well. But to Jaden Smith, cousin from America, and your soldier boyfriend, everybody saw no fit talk what no know. Because there's something shady about Jaden Smith's scenario. Why did you have to fly down from foreign, ma'am? Yes, we know so you picked your foot broke. But why did you have to fly down from foreign? And what possible that you and your boyfriend may have done in anger over Prince Charming? We're just asking. Because uno lamentations not adding up. Uno lamentation not add up. So uno need to go under more serious interrogation when it come to Jaden Smith. Now, we're going after the chief junker we come out, which is Dr. Tufton. And as I said, we're also going to look at 119 take on the Dr. Tufton issue as well. Oh, let us do Alfred Dawes first. Well, I know me want to show you how Donald Trump insult my prime minister in a them Gaza summit in Egypt. Why Donald Trump really can play them though.
Indonesia, we covered, and I just want to say that it's a big, that's a
time for y'all on. I just want to go to my prime minister.
Spain.
It's just next to Portugal, mate.
Are you guys working on him with respect to the GDP? We'll get close. We'll get close. But fantastic job you're doing. And UAE.
Oh, UAE.
Which is great.
We're next.
United Kingdom. Where's United Kingdom?
Behind you.
Where?
Oh, I'm here. Oh, there you are.
Very good.
Oh, Stick is coming forward.
People all came and 20 minute notice.
He's come up to speak.
He come up to the mic to speak, and Donald Trump just. Well, I don't know how the whole of them come picking it to this madman, so. But then again, right, let's go to how Dr. Dawes handled himself in Parliament this evening in relation to the crooked minister.
Is your mic on?
I believe so. Yes.
Member from St. Catharines Southeast.
Madam Speaker, let me first thank the residents of Southeast St. Catherine who have, in spite of an onslaught of a campaign against me, chosen me as their elected member to this honorable house. I must say though, Madam Speaker, that with all due respect to the member from West Central, this is really the minister, honorable minister, this is really not what Jamaica wanted to hear from him today. With a spate, well, if we are in tune to social media, member, we would know that there are questions hovering around about an Integrity Commission report. There are questions as to how we are really dealing with mental health in Jamaica and the renaming and rebranding of a hospital that has leaking wards, overcrowded patients, and no capital budget for about 5 years coming from the Ministry of Health. With previous announcements about destigmatization going back as far as from 2019 by the Honorable Minister, where residents are not growing their food at the Bellevue Hospital because of therapy, but because of sustenance, because the food budget has been cut. My response is governed by Standing Order 11A, Section 2. I can speak not just about the speech. No, you are speaking about the response. Subsection 917. Okay. What has happened over the last week is that the Honorable Minister has been on a media tour deflecting from what is pertinent, his management of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And we are seeing where announcements are made that the delay at the Cornwall Regional Hospital will not be as great as it was predicted to be. We are seeing about where the Children's Hospital is going to be delayed. We are seeing discussions finally about forensic psychiatry being addressed. And we are hearing about the mental health challenges that ought to be seriously dealt with by the Ministry of Health, but responsibility is being pushed back on the public. This is a pattern of no accountability and deflection, denying involvement, and then defamation of anyone who dares to criticize the Honorable Minister. So I will say, because it is not now to elaborate on every single scandal that has been met with this response. The archives are there, the Hansard records is there. But I will ask the Honorable Minister if, when the Auditor General's report on the state of affairs
I choose Kraken to trade crypto
is made public and brought to this house, if he will remember that he had direct ministerial interference in the composition of the board when they wanted to have a reformation of the leadership of that hospital. Because if what is out there is true, then whatever we have been asking about.
Yes, Colleen, I believe it's the same piece of bullshit.
In terms of clarity, in terms of breaches of procurement guidelines, in terms of outright fraud and misrepresentation, overpaying for equipment, then we will see whether or not this situation at the university hospital will need further drilling down. As we are talking about dengue, I will use my last 10 seconds to say that in Portmore, it is not just a fogging problem. The drains have collapsed, they're blocked. We need help over there, and it's not just about fogging.
Well, I think Dr. Dawes was brilliant this evening. Now, on we go to 119 take on the whole hike of public funds by Christopher Tufton and his girlfriend. Bear with us, please. Just getting these videos load up. Bear with. Hang on. Right, I need to reload this. Bear with me, my peeps. Because Christopher Tufton is all over the news, talking about all sorts of fancy initiative. Everything.
This is Christopher Tufton.
Everything we want with a focus on, except for the $80 million. What you soon hear say come down to 40 million? Because if you have followed the rule, read nonsense. Abena, how you do? If you have followed the rule, read nonsense. You see, the rule read money come down to 25 million now. So in no time, you may hear say, because you know, say, what is reality is not really reality. What we hear and see is not really what we hear and see. What we hear and see are what them want we hear and see. As Dennis Brooks are come tell we say. We did not see the police. They did not see the police planting a magazine. The magazine just happened to fell out during the police search. But let's listen to what 119 take on with tax money with Christopher take game Fronzy girl.
This is Christopher Tufton's woman. Her name is Lindsay McDonough. Christopher Tufton is the Minister of Health. And the Ministry of Health gave this woman $80 million for some project. It don't matter what them gear it for. It don't matter what them gear it for. I don't think Jamaicans have yet woke up to what has happened. So make me wake up because I look like most of them don't understand what it means. The Ministry of Health, headed by Christopher Tufton, take up $80 million of our money, my money, and your money. If you go to the supermarket or you go to the grocery store, anyway you go buy something, them take money out of your money, you have to give them some money, it's called GCT. And when you work and your employer draw out money out of your pay, and that's how it go. And your money that. And my money that. And it is utterly improper for Christopher Tufton to bring his woman into the Ministry of Health that he heads and to say to them, give her whatever Nothing at all he should say to them about his woman's company. And the Ministry of Health that is headed by Christopher Tufton went into some arrangement to channel $80 million into a human business. $80 million our money, you know, into human business. Now, this is the important part. And I have to be very careful, because I don't want Christopher Tufton or Miss McDonough to sue me for defamation. And so I have to be very careful as to what I say. But I won't defame, you know. I won't. What I will say is this. How do us, the taxpayers of Jamaica, know that when Miss McDonough got that $80 million, she did not give back Christopher Tufton some of it? How we know that never happened? We don't. And I am not saying it happened, because I have no such evidence. But what I am saying, ladies and gentlemen, is that it is for that very reason why no money should be given to Christopher Tufton woman by the Ministry of Health to do nothing at all. In fact, all family members, girlfriends, and wives should be precluded from getting government contracts, because it is easy for a minister of government, and I am not saying Christopher Tufton did this. I have no such evidence of that. But I realize that the media, the mainstream media, have beat around the bush because they don't want to get sued. I don't know if the man Tufton a friend or what it is. But me, 119. Me not look no friend and company. Me I speak the truth. It is wrong. It is improper. It is a terrible thing that happened with our taxpayers' money. And I don't even see the opposition coming out with guns blazing about this. So I don't know what it is. But let me ask you another question. And this is just another question. Suppose Mr. Christopher Tufton and Lindsay McDonough live together, which I hear that they live together. Suppose they live together in one house, and Miss Lindsay McDonough takes some of the money where she make her off of the Ministry of Health and go buy some furniture, put in at the house where Christopher Tufton there. Isn't that a benefit to Christopher Tufton? Who don't answer me, man? You can't look like me, fool. You look like me, no sense. Because I know you're nobody has said nothing about this. And it's wrong. It's totally improper. And I am not in the politics thing, the PMP or the JLP. You know what I mean? I mean the Jamaica thing. I am in the Jamaica thing. Me I stand up for Jamaica whether no one like me or not. Me I speak the truth and speak it ever. Cause it what it will. And let me ask you another question. Suppose Mr. Christopher Tufton and Miss Lindsay McDonough go out on a date, and Miss Lindsay McDonough pays the bill from some of the money where she make off of the Ministry of Health to our company when you market me, our marketing and public relations company. Suppose you pay the dinner bill. Doesn't Mr. Tufton benefit? Doesn't Mr. Tufton... Look here, man. Look here, man. This can't go so. This cannot go so. This blatantly wrong. And I don't know why Jamaicans are not outraged over it. I am totally outraged over it because I feel me money. I feel me money. I feel we money and the whole of we money at Jamaica and the whole of we money. How we money enough to goss up. It's too close for comfort. It's a conflict. It's a conflict. Let me ask you another question again. Say the Minister of Health, Tom Brown, in Timbuktu, wants some money. He want to do something. He needs some millions. Could Tom Brown bring him woman? We have a business to his ministry in Timbuktu. Huh? Make she get some project. And then some of the money they go back to Mr. Tom Brown? Is that possible? I'm asking a question. I'm not saying that's what happened in this case with Chris Tufton, because I have no such evidence. And so I cannot come here and say that that is what happened. I am asking about the possibilities when these kind of arrange, these incestuous arrangements take place. And here is Mr. Christopher Tufton having the audacity to say that he has been exonerated, meaning he has been freed by the Integrity Commission. The Integrity Commission investigated the matter and found everything improper about it. And here is Mr. Tufton with the audacity. I mean, I'm not personal against Mr. Tufton, you know. I am standing up for Jamaica. Standing up for me. Me have one little son there come up. And me want Jamaica still there when he come up. And that's my interest. Here is he.
While it was critical of us.
Yeah. That's what Dr. Tufton says. Nothing to see here. Move on. Dean Jackson Miller in this case as well, I think, asked some important questions. And I think we should take a look into the questions she
your business headaches, tracking invoices.
I'm a little perplexed.
The questions she advances on the matter, because we must not let this die. This is why Chris Tufton is running all over this place, speaking about Bellevue, mental health, Cornwall Regional, children and adolescents, changing the name for Bellevue to avoid it. Hey, hello. We're not interested. We're interested in our 80 million where you take pay for quarter. That's our problem.
That how the situation is playing out. Just look at what the Integrity Commission report said and then tell me if you don't think there are additional conversations we need to have. And there's one particular question that the ministry should answer. What should happen now? So should the Health Minister, Chris Tufton, resign because of the Integrity Commission reports about contracts between the Health Ministry and PR firm Market Me? What do you think? I'm Deon Jackson Miller. Thanks so much for joining me. Time for tea. So let me say, first of all, I think there's a problem with how we look at these reports that come from the Integrity Commission, right? People taking a very binary approach to them, a very black and white approach. Somebody I go courthouse, somebody I get locked up. If there isn't a recommendation for criminal prosecution, on the one hand, we have some people feeling disappointed. On the other hand, we have the people involved saying, see, there's no problem, argument done. I think both of these takes are wrong. So I'm going to suggest we look at things a little bit differently. Oversight entities like the Auditor General and the Integrity Commission do a whole heap of work in these investigations. They interview a whole heap of people. They go through piles and piles of documents. And you can see just in the reports and how they're put together how much work goes into them. And I think what we need to do is step back a little bit, calm down a little bit. And I think what we need to do is, when we look at these reports, is try to figure out what are they saying was done well, what was done not so well, And therefore, what lessons do we need to learn about how to get more value from taxpayers' money? So I find it concerning to hear Health Minister Dr. Chris Tufton talking about moving on because the Integrity Commission report has closed the issue. No, it hasn't. What it's done is to raise some legitimate questions that the minister and the ministry need to answer. And let me say right here, no, I'm not calling for Tufton to resign or step down or be fired. I'm not calling for anybody at all to resign or step down or even be disciplined. That's not what I'm saying. All the talk about resignations and firings, look, they make good headlines, but what they do is to block the real conversation we need to have about how do we do government better. Because what happens, everybody immediately goes into defense mode. They might defend them job, they will make sure so they're safe, and therefore it doesn't open up the room for conversation. And what should be happening is that people should be explaining, and if they want to do any defending the decisions that were made. And I know what's going on, right? I know that what is happening is that people are afraid that if they can't defend those decisions, then you're going to have to talk about disciplinary action and firing and stepping down. So I get that. I am just saying, for the purposes of this discussion, put all of that aside for now. Just look at what the Integrity Commission report said and then tell me if you don't think there are additional conversations we need to have. And there's one particular question, I'll tell you when I come to it, that I think is at the heart of the entire thing and that shouldn't be swept under the rug and that the ministry should answer. So it's an 88-page report. I'm just going to take you to the conclusions. You can access a full report on the Integrity Commission's website. The Director of Investigations concludes that a total of 15 contracts were awarded to Market Me Consulting over the period January 2017 to March 2021. They had a cumulative value of $78.5 million. 14 of those contracts were awarded by the Ministry of Health with a cumulative value of $73.6 million. One contract by the National Family Planning Board in the amount of $4.9 million by the direct contracting procurement methodology. And that same methodology, direct contracting procurement, was used by the Ministry of Health in the award of all 14 contracts to Market Me. The director finds that the use of the direct contracting procurement methodology by the ministry to award the following contracts to Market Me amounts to a breach of the Ministry of Finance and Public Service Circular number 27. And you see the table here speaking about 2 contracts, and the subject matter of both contracts says reimbursement. The director's conclusion is based on the fact that the circular, among other things, stipulates the procurement contract approvement limits and permits the use of direct contracting for contracts up to a contract value of $1.5 million. Both contracts exceeded this value. The director concludes that the 3 instances in which the Ministry of Health and Wellness described the services rendered in the award of contract as being reimbursement were inappropriate. The director's conclusion is proffered notwithstanding the explanation that came from the permanent secretary that the awards were classified on the basis that the company made purchases on behalf of the ministry for the Jamaica Moves campaign, and therefore they needed to be reimbursed. And the director further concludes that that justification demonstrates poor planning on the part of the ministry in determining goods and services needed by the ministry and thereby ensuring compliance with procurement guidelines. The report says this method of acquiring goods or services effectively circumvented established procurement procedures and is wholly inappropriate. The director says due consideration was given to the post-investigation submissions made by the PS as well as Ms. McDonough from Market Me, and he says those are attached to the report. The director concludes that the apparent award of 6 contracts on the same date was irregular and contrary to the principle of competition, especially given the nature of services said to have been provided by Market Me and which were all connected to the Jamaica Moves campaign. The contracts were described as related to agency management, public relations, and reimbursement. The director further concludes that the explanation provided by the permanent secretary that the purchase orders were all generated on the same date for all activities conducted over a period of time, and the invoices submitted to the ministry at the same time, and that the activities were done by the firm after the original contract had expired, and that the ministry needed to maintain the presence of the Jamaica Moves activity, the report says that explanation doesn't justify the irregularity. He says an important consideration is that the services/goods were all rendered or supplied within a fairly short time frame and by the same entity under the same program. So in the round, meaning overall, the director says effective scoping and procurement planning aside, a framework agreement or a formal extension of contract would have been more appropriate. Further, the award of 6 separate contracts on the same date to the same entity in relation to the same program could, without more, be looking like an attempt to splinter the contract. This conclusion is premised on the fact that if a single contract had been awarded, the cumulative value would have been over the 1.5 million threshold, for which the use of the direct contracting procurement methodology would have been appropriate. Exceeding that threshold would have meant using a competitive procurement methodology. For example, the limited tender procurement methodology, which would require the ministry to award the contract to one of 3 bidders, leaving the door open to such a perception, contract splintering. The director says, in other words, making it look as if this is what was happening can only serve to erode confidence in the procurement process and should be avoided. Then the director looks at the unsolicited proposal that came from Market Me. He concludes that the circumstances which gave rise to the award of contract in the amount of 15.8 million to Market Me were based on an unsolicited proposal presented to the ministry on July 12, 2016. All right, so we come now to what I'm saying is one of the fundamental questions the report raises that I think really needs to be answered by the ministry, and for us not to get sidetracked and have it swept under the rug or, just completely ignored because everybody's in a froth about if somebody is going to be fired or stepped down or what have you. The director says, given the representations made by Mrs. Stephanie Shaw-Smith that her assessment of the proposal indicated certain deficiencies which made it unacceptable, the director considers the absence of documentation to expressly convey the basis upon which the ministry took the decision to enter into the contract on the basis of the receipt of an unsolicited proposal a serious irregularity.
The fact is, there's a lot of property noise out there. People telling you to buy a house for £1, no money down due.
So an assessment by an officer of the Ministry of Health has said the proposal had serious deficiencies and was unacceptable, and yet the ministry went ahead and entered into this contract, and the Integrity Commission report is saying there is no explanation as to how that happened. This is fundamental. It goes to the heart of everything because this is how the contracts in question came into being. So this is a basic issue, a basic question that the ministry has to answer. Then the report says the fact that feedback was provided to one of the principals of Market Me as to the nature of the deficiencies identified poses a serious concern. The rules around treatment of unsolicited proposals clearly stipulate they should not be influenced by the entity to which they are submitted. Providing feedback to Market Me in respect of the deficiencies identified is in direct contravention of the rules and provided Market Me with an unfair advantage. Again, serious question that has to be answered. The ministry needs to tell us how this happened, why this happened, but we're not talking about this because we're talking about if people need to get fired or not. The director's concerns are compounded by the representations in the statement of Mrs. Shaw-Smith that a similar physical activity campaign was being done on behalf of the ministry by OGM Integrated Communications at the time called Make It Count. Under the procurement rules, an unsolicited proposal may be considered if it demonstrates a unique and innovative concept or demonstrates a unique capability of the contractor, or if it offers a concept or service not otherwise available to the government, and if it does not resemble the substance of a recent, current, or pending competitive tender. The existence of a similar campaign would therefore automatically disqualify the proposal from consideration by the ministry as an unsolicited proposal. In these circumstances, the ministry should have engaged in a competitive bidding process or simply disregard it. The director concludes that the circumstances surrounding the ministry's acceptance of the unsolicited proposal lack transparency and financial prudence, which would have been brought about by engaging a competitive process, as there is no evidence made available by the ministry that indicates that a due diligence process was undertaken by the ministry in relation to the unsolicited proposal received from MarketMe. The GPPH, that's a government procurement procedures handbook, which outlines the options available to an entity when they get an unsolicited proposal and which require the entity to assess the merits of the proposal. The director has seen no evidence to indicate that such a test was performed by the ministry in considering the proposal submitted by MarketMe. The director concludes that in the absence of a test by the ministry to determine the merits of the proposal, the ministry's handling of the proposal and subsequent award of contract remains questionable. The director concludes that the ministry breached the government procurement procedures handbook by its failure to apply that test. The director also finds that the National Contract Commission's approval of an award to MarketMe without the benefit of having certain knowledge that the unsolicited proposal satisfied that test was at best premature and imprudent. The director's conclusion is based on the fact that there is no evidence to support a finding that the National Contract Commission reviewed documentation regarding the unsolicited proposal that confirmed that those requirements were satisfied. Right, so this section for me is at the heart of the concerns that need to be addressed and that need to be answered, which is how the contract came into existence in the first place and why it is that the ministry disregarded, if that's what happened, the concerns that had been raised about the proposal. All right, breaches of the Contractor General Act and Integrity Commission Act. The director concludes that there is no evidence to indicate that the ministry reported the award of contracts in the amount of 15.8 million and 38.9 million via the quarterly.
The Canaman Ferguson, Jamaica run pan who know one another. So once you know one another, you don't have to follow no rules because the crooks, the bureaucrats and technocrats within the ministry facilitates the corruption of the ministers. A whole heap of them people that figure out prison, you know. The Tufton, where you see run off and say, because people resign, they are gone foreign, why he couldn't provide. He's at the heart of all this, you know. Dustin or Dunce, whatever standing name, he is at the heart of all this scandal as well. Him is the one who sit down and make sure say there were no paper trail or there were no appropriations or procurement processes. We can't leave any paper trail till we know we're going. He was the one who facilitated this. He was the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Health. He was the one who facilitated this crime against the public purse.
Contract award consolidated report database in 2017 and 2019, having regard to the ministry's demonstrated compliance up to that.
You see, because they don't have the paper trail, yeah? A lot of what them would have the pen pan to prove them case in a court. Tufton them make sure say they are non-existent. That is what prevent them from bringing charges against them because you don't have the evidence. You need a level of paper trail in these cases when you go to court. You see, and this is what they carefully did within the ministry. They make sure that the trail was left behind. It left you in a confusion rather than give you clarity. It's all a plan.
Point with the requirement to submit these reports, the director concludes that the entity, that's the ministry, was aware of its obligation to report information regarding the award of contracts above the threshold value of $500,000. The director concludes that the then accounting and accountable officers of the ministry failed to discharge their obligations under the then applicable Contractor General Act. Notwithstanding all of that, now
that is the permanent secretary. That's the permanent secretary they're talking about for the department. Those are the ones who, them a get rich out of the steal as well, you know, because them a get a cut out of where them a help the ministers, them steal, you know.
Director says there are certain evidentiary gaps. That means that it doesn't make sense referring the matter to the Director of Corruption Prosecution, meaning there's no possibility of being able to sustain some kind of criminal prosecution based on the evidence that's available. Particularly, the requisition apparently issued by the Office of Contractor General to heads of ministries, departments, and agencies requiring the submission of details of contracts issued by said entities on a quarterly basis, and the necessary proof of service aren't available to the director. So the director is saying he can't make a recommendation to the Director of Corruption Prosecutions to even make a ruling as to whether anybody should be prosecuted in relation to this matter. And I'm saying this is what people are seizing on to say the argument is finished. But having heard what I read before, can we say the argument is finished? And can we really say that there are not questions to be answered? And I know I've said this 2 or 3 times, but it's because I'm a little perplexed at how the situation is playing out. Again, not trying to throw anybody under the bus, not trying to make nobody lose their job, but I'm just saying there are questions here that need to be answered and there are issues we need to talk about. Conflict of interest. The director has seen no evidence to indicate that Dr. Tufton was directly involved in the award of contract to Market Me. Based on the representations of Dr. Kevin Harvey and the minister's own account, the extent of the involvement of Dr. Tufton was the introduction of the company and its proposals to officers at the ministry. Notwithstanding that,
that alone for me is direct involvement. So I'm a bit stuck on what the Integrity Commission is talking about here, because the introduction alone, given that Dr. Tufton lied by omission that him and Sauerquarter Lindsay is an item, that alone is direct involvement. It's not like Lindsay make a request, is one of the bidder, and nobody never knows that she related to Dr. Tufton. Dr. Tufton introduced her company to the Ministry of Health. How then this is not a direct involvement?
Director finds that Minister Tufton's actions could reasonably be considered to have indirectly influenced the engagement of Market Me, which ultimately resulted in that entity being awarded.
Not indirectly. He gave them direct instruction to make sure Lindsay is okay. That was the direct instruction that Dr. Tufton gave. So that part of the Integrity Commission report, may not agree with that part, because he introduced our company to the Ministry of Health. He lied by omission of their relationship. So that's enough for a direct involvement, because she end up get the contract then where Dr. Tufton benefit from, or where Dr. Tufton possibly get kickback from.
Contracts of just under $80 million. And the director says this is what led him to that conclusion. A. Market Me's unsolicited proposal was discussed with Dr. Tufton by its principal, Ms. McDonough, with whom Dr. Tufton indicated he had a friendship prior to his appointment as Minister of Health. B. Dr. Tufton introduced Market Me, Ms. McDonough, and its concept to his staff at the ministry, indicating that Market Me should be involved in all PR matters related to the minister. C. Dr. Tufton seemed, based on the evidence, to have been integrally involved in a number of meetings, at least one of which was held on the weekend at the offices of Market Me, and those meetings were convened to discuss Jamaica moves. D. Dr. Tufton's own admission that, quote, the proposal appeared to fit in with his view on lifestyle and wellness issues and would have been perceived by the ministry staff involved in the process. But he said he gave no directions, instructions, or recommendations concerning the treatment of the proposal, but he says he was entitled as minister to express his views on policy issues, and the officers would no doubt have taken into account that fact when treating with the proposal. E. Though the evidence does not suggest that Dr. Tufton directly gave instructions to engage Market Me as a consultant, consultant, it is clear, based on the evidence of the permanent secretary, that he gave directives to the permanent secretary to hold discussions with Market Me around this proposal. Dr. Harvey's evidence is that
That's the same Dustin Bryan. Dustin Bryan helped to facilitate a lot of this crime. But these people just walk off in the sun with millions of stolen money and a pension. Because to say, you think that Dustin they are going to sit down there. I helped Dr. Tufton steal $80 million and Dustin not thief himself too. Come on, Jamaica, and also thief behave. Thief now what up, just pack your bag and walk out with empty bag. You don't think that's how it go?
company Market Me was brought to his attention by the minister, Dr. Tufton, on his arrival at the ministry in March 2016. He asked that they be involved with all PR matters related to the office of the minister. He later asked that we receive and consider a presentation from the company during one of his regular senior management briefings. The director says that could, to the mind of the reasonable and detached observer, be looked at as an indirect instruction to engage Market Me by way of contract. The director also says it's well within the remit of the minister to determine policies of the ministry. Policy direction will directly influence the nature of programs and the timing of their implementation and the types of goods, works, and services procured. In the round, overall, the director concludes that there is evidence to support a finding that the actions of the minister gave rise to, at its lowest, a perceived conflict of interest and thereby contravene the principles of transparency and good governance. In this regard, Dr. Tufton, as Minister of Health, and by extension a public official in the execution of his public function, appeared to have advanced a private interest which resulted in a monetary benefit to Market Me, of which Ms. Lindsay McDonough is a co-managing director and an individual with whom at the material time he had a friendship. Having regard to Ms. McDonough's presence at a meeting of the Board of the National Health Fund on January 25, 2017, wherein a proposal from the ministry about Jamaica Moves was discussed and feedback given as to the need to improve the structure of the program, the director finds her presence in the meeting to be inappropriate and irregular. He says he considered the explanations given, that she didn't contribute to the discussion, that it wasn't on the agenda, and that she subsequently left the board. The director says this doesn't justify the fact that she was present.
So basically, the Prime Minister was coming to a meeting of his department and oops, I just bring my girlfriend along with me, but there's no day room for her to sit in and wait for me. She will have to come to the meeting table with me. This is how our country is run. Where politicians, sour quarter girls, after taking away money, can sit down and snoop into meetings where discuss the country's business. Uno no see a dolly house. I couldn't go jam up 40 crown it. Uno no see a dolly house.
In a meeting where valuable information was being provided about a program in which she had a financial interest, and that her presence at the meeting was wholly inappropriate and irregular. The director finds that neither Dr. Tufton nor Ms. McDonough made formal declarations of conflict as required under the rules governing conflict of interest and broader governance best practice. While others may have known of the connection between the two of them, they both had a responsibility to have made formal declarations of conflict at the appropriate times and to recuse themselves from any involvement which could be deemed or perceived to be a conflict of interest. The demonstrated involvement by Dr. Tufton in meetings concerning Market Me's proposal and Ms. McDonough's presence in a board meeting which considered a proposal related to Market Me, however this occurred, are antithetical to good governance and the principles of accountability and transparency. So in terms of recommendations now, the director recommends that the ministry refrains from the improper use of the direct contracting procurement methodology and to ensure that this is used only within the parameters of the Public Procurement Act and the regulations, guidelines, and circulars. The director recommends that the ministry ensures that it has in place at all times a comprehensive procurement plan which facilitates value for money, prudent financial management, and allows the entity to plan more effectively in procuring goods and services. It's further recommended that the ministry ensure the execution of proper procurement planning. The director recommends that the respective public officers at the ministry who are charged with the responsibility of administering government contracts should become familiar with and strictly adhere to the provisions of the law. In respect of the award of 6 contracts on the same date to Market Me, the director recommends that the ministry desist from engaging in actions that may give the appearance of contract splintering. The director recommends that the ministry excises, meaning does away with, throws out the door from its procurement practices the award of contracts based on the receipt of unsolicited proposals without due diligence. The director is of the view that the unsolicited proposal mechanism is a corruption-enabling facility that, if left unchecked, may undermine integrity and/or credibility of the contract award process. In the alternative, and where an unsolicited proposal is accepted, the director recommends that the procuring entity, the ministry, administer the test that's laid out in the handbook. Having regard to the ambiguous nature of the goods apparently purchased on the ministry's behalf by Market Me and the reimbursements made, the director recommends that the report be referred to a permanent secretary to determine whether the government has suffered any loss, and if so, to cause such loss to be recovered. Having regard to the conflict of interest concerns around Dr. Tufton's introduction of Market Me and his friendship with its co-director and his subsequent involvement in discussions from which he ought properly to have been recused, the director recommends that this matter be referred to the Honourable Speaker of the House of Representatives. So the ministry responded, saying they recognize the recommendations coming from the Integrity Commission and the need to strengthen procurement processes. They defend the Jamaica Moves campaign, saying it's based on the need to try to address the problem of non-communicable diseases. They said it remains the ministry's flagship health promotion and prevention strategy. Given the importance of that, they said they'll continue to review and assess the Integrity Commission report and the suggestions that have been made. They respond to the concern about contract splintering. They said they realize that the transactions could give that appearance. They said careful analysis would show the invoices were for reimbursement of goods and services already received and used. They said the invoices for reimbursement had the same date, but in...
So what am I saying at this, yeah? Lindsay McDonough take her money and buy things for them where she think they need, and then them have to pay back Lindsay the money. So they might say, you know, that's what they're telling us. But there's a lot that we should not let go of in this issue. The fact that they have committed the crime in a way that prevents the Integrity Commission from bringing charges against them because of lack of evidence and lack of paper trail and going outside of the ordinary. This is what Christopher Tufton, remember, Andrew Holness did the same thing in, you know, that whole heap of money were pushed to bank, NCB account, a cash point mounting up to nearly $500 million. We saw where Pernell Charles did a very similar thing as well, where that's whole splintering thing for money laundering as well, where he allowed the same person on the same day to come to his office and collect 3 checks for $500,000 each, mounting up to $1.5 million. So they always use these splinter process when they want to do money laundering and so on, because it avoid a level of detection where if them go just like that with the $80 million, so them have to splinter it up in a little, which them even then in breach doing that. But Christopher Tufton, we did come out here for tonight. But before I go, I want to say, while Jamaican young men are being shot and are being forced into silence by a tyrannical government, Kudos to the young people of Africa who continue to rise and want to take control, because the young people of Madagascar has arisen, and the president of Madagascar have run down about him business. Now, before he ran off, he ordered the military to fire on the protesters. The military. Kudos to you, the military of Madagascar, who refuse the order from your president to turn your guns on the people. The world is waking up while Jamaica is fast going into fear and sleep. You really wonder where we're going. But it is a positive thing to see the young people of Africa rising and taking control and toppling these corrupt leaders, while Jamaicans are using TikTok to their demise. Thank you very much for being here this evening. We're continuing on the crimes of Dr. Tufton and his girlfriend and the Ministry of Health. This is not the only blunder coming out of the Ministry of Health, but this is a major one. Dr. Tufton wants to brush it off as if nothing has happened. Dr. Tufton is all over the news, just a fraud and a prop. We're not paying attention to that. What we're paying attention to is the $80 million. And if the $80 million will chop into two, like we just wake up overnight and Pharaoh read $50 million heist was chopped right into two. Then say, all right, one of the Jamaican people take responsibility for 25 million, and we the thief them over here, so we take responsibility for 25 million. But we will continue to watch the theater of injustice as it plays out in the Royal Reid case. Former education minister, as we can see, he's been set up for a return, even to the country's cabinet. Thank you, and good night from Global TV. Please do join us tomorrow morning for your At a Glance program. Thank you.
God of my salvation, because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come with I. Rastaman throw one stone, and it pick a bad feeling to all wicked men. Not a people there. Make a man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear not hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside and rub and cheat, and not press the poor. Make up what I sing to. Big man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a plan. Big man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. My favorite man, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see, they didn't can sell out Rasta and sell it out, I sell out Babylon. Big man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Big man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. I sell a house, I sell out Babylon. Yes, come on the Friday. If I throw a stone, and it bring a bad feeling to a wicked man. Hey, oh, what a black thing. If I throw a stone, and it bring a bad feeling to a wicked man. You have eyes to see, let him see. You have ears to hear, let them hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one, big him and throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black big him and throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rastaman throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men.
If you don't like missing out on the latest shows but still enjoy classic hits, then Global TV Group 358 is your perfect match. Global TV Group 358 isn't just another channel, it's your ultimate TV experience. From breaking news to binge-worthy dramas and timeless classics, we've got it all. Our unique blend of original content and global favorites means there's something for everyone. And guess what? With GTVG's seamless streaming, you can watch anywhere, anytime. Plus, our interactive features let you be part of the action. So, whether you're a seasoned binge watcher or a casual viewer, Global TV Group 358 is here to keep you entertained day and night. Don't just watch TV, experience it with Global TV Group 358. Subscribe now and never miss a moment.